It is 7 p.m.
It should totally.
on Tuesday, September 15th, 2020, and we are going to open the Committee of Committees meeting. Do roll call, please.
Yep. Committee members Chris Samples.
Here.
John Tobit.
Here.
William Luxinger is absent. Tina Simpson.
Here.
John Christensen.
Here.
Jared Doan.
Here.
President Rick Worm.
Here.
Treasurer Brenda Onabini is here to step into her office for a moment. Clerk Sandy Monson here. Public Works Supervisor Brett Fergie. Here. And architect from Willett Hoffman, Alan Holston.
Here.
All right. Consider a motion for the minutes.
I make a motion to approve August 18th, 2020 committee minutes.
I'll second.
Jared makes a motion to approve the August 18th, 2020 Committee of Committee meeting minutes. John seconds. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Roll call, please.
Throwing me off. It's usually an all in favor.
I know.
Jen.
Yes.
Jared.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Dina.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
William's absent.
All right, so move on to the officers. Fuel reports in the packet. Anybody have any questions on that? Water report, either one?
I do not.
All right, do we have the water bill drawing?
Nope.
All right, then we're skipping that. On to Sandy.
FOIA reports in the packet. Any questions?
Nope.
All right. And then I do have another easement like we've done in the past for 114 Prairie Moon Drive. They are looking to install a fence. There is a 10-foot utility easement in the backyard.
5 foot on my side of the fence.
Oh, it's 5 foot on your side. It's 10 foot on the other side. I was just looking up your neighbors. There is already an existing fence from the backyard neighbors in the easement. He's looking to connect to it. There are no fences on either side. It's just the back, but he's looking to connect all of
I'm
them.
actually looking to come 2.5 foot off the property line or all the way around, so I'd only be halfway through my 5 foot easement, is what I want to do.
Okay, even better. It, as before, I need approval from this board for him to do that. I would have him sign the standard letter that says village has to come in, we tear it out, otherwise.
Is that going to be enough room for you to get in between the fences and,
Yeah, I'm a whole 135
well,
pounds, so.
I don't know how wide your mower is, so.
Oh, I'm actually going to put railroad ties right on the property line, and river rock, and just round up anything that comes through, so we're about mowing through there.
That's utility, not drainage?
It's utility.
Okay.
You realize though, if there's an issue, they'll come in and remove all that and we'll put it back.
Yeah.
Okay. The railing in the river rock too. It'd be the whole thing. Okay.
Well, with that in mind, does anybody on the board have any opposition to him proceeding?
Knowing that, I have no problem
No.
with it.
Nope.
All right, I'll go ahead and
Write
prepare
it
the
up.
letter when you pick up your building permit. There'll just be another letter for you to sign acknowledging that this conversation took place and that you,
We like having public, so you're welcome to stay.
I did tell him that.
But we won't hold you hostage either.
I also said that.
Typically, I talk to the camera, so I can actually talk to you.
Came on a bad time because sometimes we got pizza.
Oh,
True. So that was that one, and then the other thing on there is Alan. Alan, you need the mic though.
You should have stole Matt's card.
So it's a little bit of background. Last time Alan was here, you guys had asked for quotes on what it would cost to do repairs to Village Hall.
Yep.
After talking to Matt after the meeting, I realized that it was going to exceed $25,000, at which point we always ask Willett Hoffman to help with the bidding process. So Alan came and walked through Village Hall with me. And this, I think, is the list that Alan has that he came up with the addition of the roof window issue that came up last week.
Is that why the additional piece at the end, or I can't remember what the end part was, but yeah.
Oh, I think that's
okay.
engineering.
Yeah, that was, okay.
Yeah, Rick can probably pull it up too.
Yeah.
All right, now Alan.
Where'd my book go?
You can keep going. I don't have to
No,
speak.
good.
Oh, all right. This does not have that roof issue in there.
Aw,
You said that you were taking care of that outside of me. So.
I am, but I still need to fix long-term. That's a temporary
Okay.
fix. So then I guess not included in that
Correct.
is the roof repair that we're already having done, but as we discussed, there's the secondary, now we need to pull the walls open, figure out how much water damage was done behind the walls.
Correct. That is not included in this. I was putting this together and she called me and said, hey, what's going on? And I did not feel comfortable with trying to figure out a cost for that without coming to see it, without understanding where the water was coming from. So that's why it's not included here. What you've got is a pretty straightforward list. I can give you the breakdowns and everything else, but I try to keep it as simple as possible with still telling you what's in each one of these. I guess, do you guys want to ask questions, or do you want me to run through them line by line? Where exactly do
Let's
you
go
want?
through them, and if anybody has any questions, they can ask at the end.
Okay. So replacing the steel siding wainscot on this south side of the building is the most evident portion that you can see, where the green portion of the steel right next to the bottom is completely rotted. Part of that is because it's not draining water. Water gets back there, it sits on top of the wood furring, sits there and rots out from the backside is actually what's happening. So this project would be to peel all of the green steel off, replace rotten furring, tuck point as best we know, and I'll get to that part later, and then put furring back on and put the green, as much of the green as we can salvage, back over the top. You will have to buy some new because it's rotten, right? So we know that the backside of that.
That was installed in the 70s?
Late 70s, early 80s.
Okay.
With all of these projects, you'll see that I put a line on there that says install building wrap. Try to keep it waterproof. That steel is not a waterproof system. That steel is a water shedding system. So the fasteners are what fail. But, so that one would be in the $18,000 price range. Moving down, replacing all the steel opening flashings along each one of the south windows for sure. When we got inside that apartment building on the lower level, you can see water standing at each one of those. I anticipate that, again, it's the majority of the steel flashings that are leaking. The same idea that the lower part's leaking, so we have to peel that apart, take off as much of the steel as we can, repair all of the wood, repair the flashing, seal that back up, install as much building wrap as we expose, put the steel back on. For all 9 of those windows, it'd be around 10 grand. Entrance roof and wood fascia. I hate to say this one's a shot in the dark, especially if you're going to do it today, simply because of the cost of wood right now. I don't know if you guys have ever priced out a piece of lumber. Previously, I could buy a 2x4 8-foot long for $3. Right now, it's almost $20.
Good luck finding one.
There's
Good
a
luck
wood
finding one.
shortage.
Right now, it's all burning
The mills
out
are
there.
shut down, everything's shut down. You can't buy roofing material right now either.
Well, they didn't blame COVID.
You can get a 4-foot 2x4
It is.
on
No,
eBay
those
for
are
$8.
It isn't.
That's a couple thousand because the fencing post.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a material shortage. So this is the one that's impacted the most because it has roofing in it. It has wood rebuild. It has a lot of that stuff. So we're going to tear apart that front side, open that roof up, figure out how to keep the birds from coming along the side of it, reflash that, re-roof that, put it all back together. The biggest one that I'm concerned with, that one's, keeping birds out of the building is a pretty good thing. But the next one is the repair the front walk. When Sandy and I walked through the basement of this building, or of the building next door, right inside the front walk, we can look where and see it bumps out. And through the masonry wall, we can look past, through the joints, and see the bottom of the concrete slab that's out front. So what that means is there's a lot of material that was there holding up that concrete that's actually washed in. You can see some of it on the floor on the inside. Not a lot. Somebody's been cleaning. There's that. And we can see exposed rebar from the underside of looking at that. So that project there would be to replace that front walk. When you do that, you can expose the limestone foundation that's there. You can tuck point or fill in the holes with mortar so you're not getting the water infiltration at that point either. That one, I don't think it's going to fail today or tomorrow, but left alone, it will fail. So, moving down, we've got brick and limestone foundation on the interior. We're tuck point it from the inside. We can't get to the outside of all of that limestone foundation, but there's a lot of missing mortar that has eroded out over the years, so we would go from the inside and tuck point as best we could, pushing through the wall to fill in those joints.
The deck
Repair the-
columns.
Yes, the deck columns, they need to be replaced.
Have you seen the deck columns?
They're.
If you walk around the building and look at them, it's
They're-
kind of comical.
I did put a video or a photo in the original
Yes.
information that I shared, and it looks like a woodchuck is eating away at them.
Yeah, it's a beaver that is literally eating,
Beavers.
but it's a weed whacker. Somebody decided just make sure it was
Bob.
no, but
That was Bob.
they are a liability that does need to get addressed. There's a couple of different ways. This way is that I have on here is to tear it apart and put it back together correctly. There's temporary fixes that Fergie can do in about 2 hours that we can get done as well. But I would recommend that you guys at least implore those pretty quickly, especially with somebody living in that building or in that apartment up there. Where are we at? Rebuild the first floor restroom, window surround. That's on the front side of the building where the window actually sticks out. I've got, Fergie can speak to how much water comes in there, but there's water staining at that portion that we again need to tear the steel off, figure out where the water's coming from, reflash it, seal that up, and put it all back together. At this point, all of everything below that line is as best I can give you today, right? These are all professional opinion of probable construction cost is what we call that, because it's still kind of a guess, right? We don't have anything really nailed down. I don't have a design. We talked about this last time. I don't know what we're getting into. So that's my opinion of what these would cost. Subtotals is $75,000. You will have to pay if you do a project of that size, you'll have to pay professional fees to bid that project. Not necessarily oversee it. You guys can take care of that. But to design it and to bid it. And because of the time that we're in, I put a 20% contingency on that. I just don't know. I mean, I hate to tell you, come here and tell you that, but I just don't know. It is going to be tough. If this is done tomorrow, I have a pretty good idea. If this is done a week from now, I don't know.
What would it cost to raise that building?
I don't know if I still have those numbers from the last.
$100,000. So that being
How much
said,
it cost to tear it down?
that being
What you
said,
just said.
Oh, that's what's raised.
That's what it means.
hold on.
Oh, I'm for that.
So I did talk to William about this morning, and with him not calling in, I asked if I could share his opinion. He said that would be fine. His thought process is, we're either gonna spend $100,000 to demolish it, or spend $100,000 to fix it, and then we can donate it to the Historical Society in the 3 to 5 years, but it buys us more time. And if we give the building to the Historical Society, they're still gonna need assistance with the repairs anyway, so this is kind of 2 birds, 1 stone. Just get the repairs done, buys us the time, and it puts it in a better position for donation.
Having walked through that building myself,
Yeah.
I think this is just the
Tip of the
Tip of
ice.
the iceberg.
repairs it's going to need that are
I did-
in depth.
I did speak to the Historical Society today, and they are interested in the building if the choice is to demolish it.
I'd donate it as is.
Can they
Why
fix
would you
it?
spend money?
Can they afford to fix it?
They can't afford to fix what
We
they
gave
have
them money
now.
for-
We help support them, although Kim did tell me that.
Then their
they're
interest
supposed to
is kind of
fundraiser.
really,
I would love to know what it would cost to raise it and then,
About $130,000.
because we'd have to move the bathroom down and rebuild that.
So, Rick, so in talking to Kim Smeja, she did say a few things, which is, one, the cost for them to repair it is much less than our cost because they're not required to do prevailing wage. And two, they're eligible for grants as a historical society that we're not eligible for. And so they are very interested in preserving it and have ideas and means in which to do so.
Do they have any idea what it looked like?
Yes. Yeah, I talked to
Because it's
Kim.
been completely,
I talked to Kim about these, yes, I talked to Kim about the repairs that we were.
because, I mean, my guess, just my guess from building maintenance, you're probably 3 times that to fix everything that needs to be fixed.
And again, they
They're
have
cheaper.
means and access to things that we as a municipality do not. And their repair costs are lower because of, it is not prevailing wage for them.
I understand.
So Kim did say, I mean, she's done it with her own farm. I mean, she is familiar with the historical grant process, and she would prefer we donate it versus,
I thought you couldn't just give stuff away. Is that what the attorney told us the other day?
Basically.
Isn't
kind
that what
of.
he said that?
That's kind of what,
Did I miss
like
it?
twice now, I think he's
Yeah,
told us.
no, you can't give the land away. I'm not sure how it works with
Yeah,
historical
it would be the
districts,
same.
though. That's why I said there's got to be something in there because Well, and that's not necessarily true. We gave away the fire department.
I have no idea. I'm just
No.
saying.
But I just
that's
remember we
the-
were talking about
right.
level crossings, and then we were talking about something else. It was
Yeah.
like a big to-do.
Right.
Well, we can give that land away. HOA,
Well,
there's different rules.
the
with
HOA is a private
versus-
entity where the fire department is a public entity. Same with the, well, and the,
In the historical
Not
society,
profit.
the third type, but
Eh,
the
But it's,
HOA, because it
not
has
a
members of
public entity.
homeowners,
It's a 501c3. There'd
because
be a
an
difference.
HOA has members of homeowners, the homeowners are the voters and they have to vote on it, so it makes it a messy deal. That's the deal with a level crossing. As I said, each one of these has their own nuances to it, but we've donated buildings before.
Before we, like, anywhere, can you scroll that down, Rick, just a tad? You mentioned, oh, the other way. There you go. Whoop. Where we were talking about the deck or whatever, and since you were talking about that needs to be like done like right away for the columns or whatever,
Correct.
should we be like, I mean, just leave the
That
columns
needs
to
to
be like,
know what you plan on doing with this building. If you're going to turn this back into historic building, do not spend the $12,000. Get it fixed temporarily. If that is the plan for a 5-year. If that,
and that's what I'm
if you're
saying.
talking
Should
a
we
10-year
temporarily fix that anyways, because you're talking about a tenant there?
Yes.
But it wouldn't be 12,000.
Right, that's what
Correct.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking before we talk about all this other stuff, my thought process goes right back to the fact that if we have somebody living there, we need to figure out about that part first.
Well,
Yes.
I'm going
Tell
to
'em
say
not to use the
something,
deck.
and Alan, I need you to plug your ears. So Alan has this word called the M word, and he doesn't like to say it out loud because it requires that you take instantaneous action. And so at some point, we're going to have to deal with that issue as well.
What's the?
I have no idea what we're talking
It's
about.
a
Neither do I. She totally.
Bold. Again,
Got it.
I think you were literally scratching the tip on this. You're only gonna tuck
I
point
know.
from the inside out on a, what, 18 inch thick
Correct. It's at
masonry?
least 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the limestone wall, you're not gonna get 18 inches deep on that wall.
No,
No
but
way.
you're going to stabilize the wall. Right now,
Right.
there's a lot of mortar that is missing in that wall. Like,
Understood.
I can see straight through it missing.
Our renter doesn't really make us money. It's not even really worth us to have a renter.
So you could tell the renter to leave.
This renter on the flip side, we don't ever hear from and doesn't.
I'm just saying, what are we making rent per month?
$500.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
John, we can't evict anybody right now.
Why?
because of the
We're
law.
holding our orders.
But you're making, if you're $500 a month times 12 months,
Right.
you're giving $6,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
You're talking way over that. for-
75,000 to fix it.
Yeah, but we're also
scratch the
talking-
top.
Hold on, but we're also talking that a few things. One, those apartments have been there for a long time and rented. And the second thing that I keep telling you guys, nobody has spent any money, maintenance on this building.
Did
How do
we-
you
And
make
so
money?
Didn't
40,
we-
hold on, 40 years of no maintenance on the building leads to this.
Understood.
Yeah, it leads to us
that's-
raising the
But
building.
the question
Still
then
don't mean you gotta go out
comes,
and
is how
spend
do
the
you
money just
separate
because
that
you didn't
building
spend
from
it.
this building for property ownership?
You don't, we'd have to give them the whole building.
Yeah, see, and that's where for 130, we could take that part of it down.
But
And-
you're destroying what little history is left in Davis Junction that is savable, and that building is savable.
I don't know. I mean, just the windows, to get them back to original. You got a picture right there on the wall what the windows look like. They're nowhere close to that. You and I have seen the windows in that building, and the shoddy job it appears that somebody did covering them.
That's why I said, in reality, if the Historical Society is interested, we need to give it to them and let them take a stab at it. They have access to grants and monies that we do
Well,
not.
then the problem is we lose this too.
Time for a new village hall, isn't it?
I mean, we're looking at.
We're not there yet. Not monetarily.
$110,000 on this estimate. Rick, you raising the building would be like $130,000, so we're looking at $240,000.
No.
We wouldn't do the 110.
Wouldn't
Right.
fix it.
Well, we might have to
Yeah,
do
we
some
can
of it
raise
for
it.
Hold
this.
on.
Temporary.
Hold on, pause,
That's not true.
pause, slight issue. You have to take it all down or none down. All of our plumbing and electric is in that building.
Correct. Everything is served from that.
That bathroom is in that building.
I understand that. That's why I said what would involve, if you took that down, is building a piece out here that's
We
gonna
don't
house
have
the
to take
bathrooms.
that down
Which is
now.
$100,000.
I'd say donate this and build a new village hall. I mean,
Well, we've looked at that. That's one of the options we have. That's why we started this survey,
Right.
was to find out what we wanted to do and what it was gonna take to fix this place. So far, you've only come up with a dollar figure to fix that side of it,
No, that includes this side too. This
other than
side-
windows.
Other than that problem that
Other than
appeared
that.
last week,
Right.
yes.
There's not, this side is the
That's
newer
still
side,
doing
and not as many problems are on this side existing. There are issues on this side, like electric, spacing, heating, cooling, but those are not what you asked. You guys
Again-
asked for instantaneous tomorrow issues. These are them.
Your options, if you take the other side down, is you build a mechanical room on the side of the building that you put your
For
mechanicals in.
100,000.
No,
It's not gonna be 100,000.
no, you would have to keep this, you would have to keep
We'll
this
keep the
building.
engineers on.
We're just kicking the can down the road again. We've been discussing New Village Hall.
You're
for
not.
many, many
You're
weeks.
eliminating the can.
No, you're not. You're creating an alternative can because that doesn't solve the space.
Why don't we
issue.
put
No, I understand. So that's, again, a reason why we're doing this.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, given the choice, I can't stress enough, I really think you're just scratching the
Oh,
problems.
and that the cost that I put together is to get that building to the point where it is watertight and you can actually start to scratch the inside. None of that cost report has anything to do with interior remodel.
Right.
Interior finishes, the M word that she likes to bring up, that I cannot go into, right? We don't know. You have to solve, you got to
Ingress.
get it dry before you can fix the problem, right? That's what we're at. We're at, get it dry, get it waterproof, now fix the next problem. You're right, it is not an all-in at 110. It is
It's gonna
step one. And I don't know how many steps are in it until we
I mean,
start.
if we've got the option to do temporary repairs to get it up, and then we're gonna look at building a new village, which is one of our options, then we gotta figure out what that's gonna cost.
That's
But if you're gonna
What, new
donate it, why
building?
bring it up
Yes.
at all?
well, as Alan said last time, though, the new building, we need to start direction. What size? What style? where
Well,
are we
again,
putting it, like, then-
Again, why we did this, so we know our space requirements.
Yep, that is the report that started this
Right.
conversation is how much space you guys wanted, right? That's where we go back to the last meeting I was at.
So
I now
beyond the
know how much
repairs,
you want.
beyond the repairs, what do we know about space requirements?
We didn't really ask for
Because,
that, but
I mean, so again,
It's the
Yeah, it
report
was-
I gave you last.
no, I
we're
meant
looking,
tonight.
we're looking at $110,000 to start the process over here. And what little is over here. Then we're looking at, if this is big enough for our space requirements, to throw in a second floor in here, whatever we plan on doing.
You must not have been at that meeting. So Alan, were you here at the meeting when Alan came in and
No,
talked
he was
about
not.
the state? Okay, so you missed it. Alan went through the space use study that was in the board packet and determined, stop me when I'm.
Was that the one meeting I missed?
Yes.
There you go.
Determined that these two buildings together would get us where we need to be today,
Correct.
but no growth.
Okay.
And so
Very,
these
very
buildings will not sustain the village in any additional growth capacity.
So at that point, I mean, was there discussion had on, are we looking
Yes,
at
it's gonna
building?
end up being a new village hall.
I don't think everybody was on the same page about, some people
Yeah.
No, we need
thought
to have
yes,
that
building, some
discussion.
people thought no. I don't think everybody was convinced that building and going brand new was exactly the direction we were going.
I'm
Which is
still a-
what ended up making this, we need
Correct.
that.
Yeah.
This is,
Yeah.
William, if I remember right, directed me to do
So
this.
since I
As
did
well
miss
as-
that meeting, I'll go back
I
to
wasn't
that.
quite there.
Is I'm still an advocate of removing that portion.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna build Village Hall, you would just add it onto that side,
So I would like to say a few things.
Why would you keep this?
One,
as usual.
One, back to my, I'm
Just
gonna
wrong.
say it as many more times as I can until I run out of breath. The Village of Davis Junction has torn down or destroyed its historical buildings because they were unsavable. Next door is savable, and so if we're not willing to save
But
it,
at what
give it to
cost?
somebody else.
But that's
Two,
debatable.
I'm sorry.
That's really
Sorry.
debatable.
Two, there was a discussion had about the property that the village owns, and when Alan came in and talked to each of us, there were several ideas tossed out there that were very awesome ideas, like building a new village hall that replicates the old track-in. That's an awesome idea. There was a discussion about moving Village Hall into the land between the two subdivisions because we are a low-traffic, good use of that land in the middle of all of the residents where people need us. And so there are valid options out there that are for us that don't include destroying what few pieces of historical property is in Davis Junction.
The cost of saving that,
Then give it away.
We'll still.
Well, and again, if we can do the temporary repairs to get us through if we decide to build, I'm okay with giving it away, but I don't want to put 110,000 into it and then give it away.
No.
Well, William's thought process was put the 110,000 in. It would hopefully buy us another 5 years
We don't need
so that
5.
he's in a position where we could finally choose to do something with the village hall. And then the building's in a position where the
Waste of
historical
That
society takes
110,000
over.
we put towards the new village.
Yeah,
So we-
just leave this as is. You're gonna give it away. Why would you fix it up?
Well,
Well, we just need to have a discussion and vote on it.
We do.
And spend 2
Well,
hours deciding where we're
We,
going.
we need to have more options,
That's
is
very
what we
true.
need right
Because
now.
I can't see putting money into something and giving it away. That don't make any
here's the
sense.
option.
But we're gonna go
I'm
pay
gonna
for
kind of
it.
go down a checklist here. One, do you guys want to spend the 110,000?
Nope.
Nope.
Not to give it away.
Dina and Jen.
Well, I guess my thing is, I don't care, I mean, I do care that we spend it, but my aspect is, I look at it, if we're gonna give 5 years, it's safety and we have to put into it.
Oh.
Especially when, like you said, I think we need to save some of these historical buildings.
Yep.
There's too much being tore down for no reason at all.
But we wouldn't be tearing it down if we don't put the money into it.
Right.
We just do the
But
temporary
I'm just saying,
safety
we-
repairs.
Right. We fix it to be able to donate it.
Dina.
And I'm still struggling with the whole, like, okay, I can see where putting $100,000 into something that we would donate away, I totally get that if we were gonna do it right away, no, I wouldn't want to put the $100,000 into it and we donated it. But I don't foresee us building a new village hall in the next 6 months. I don't see that happening. Like, I don't know that we budgeted for that. I don't know that we have that. So like, I don't know how long that's going to take to figure out the process of really what do we want it to look like? What is it? I mean, we don't have all those logistics figured out. So I don't know how we aren't in a place where we would have to put the $100,000 into it just so we can get through the next few years so we can determine all of those things and save for it. $100,000 is a lot of money
It is.
to
But you-
just
Give it
give
away.
something away.
But you don't have to put $100,000 into it to get more time out of it. Is that not correct?
Correct.
You can do that, you can do it cheaper, and then it can last until we want to build a new village hall.
And I would be more for that.
We're just not gonna
I'm-
fix
and
all
I-
the issues.
And to make it
Right.
clear, like, I am not, and Sandy already knows it too, like, I am not 100% about a new village hall yet. I'm still not there. But I definitely, if we could do something to make it safe, like, you know, whatever we need to do for us to make it safe, in the meantime, I'm not opposed to that. $100,000 is a big,
So, hold on. Now my next question. I'd like each of you to let me know how long it is till you plan on seeing a new village hall, whether it be remodeled or this one.
I don't have a time frame off the top of my head.
So that kind of
Without-
depends on how the
without-
negotiations go with the.
Right,
with the-
without our
Yeah.
negotiations right now being settled, which we're getting
Yeah, and we keep
back
on
on
waiting for
track,
things to be done. and
Right.
Until they're done, I can't answer.
William has
it's-
said 5 years.
they're not gonna
5 years.
Waste
be, it's not gonna be
management.
5 years
No,
on those
he said that
negotiations.
I will not get a village hall for 5 years. So I have to have monies for repair. I
Well,
discussed this
okay.
6 months ago.
Let's rewind a little bit, because there's 5 other people that vote on that, is when they wanna do it.
Yeah, and besides that, you don't need $100,000 for repairs. We could just said
You
that.
could condemn the deck.
We can do what we have to do,
No,
do the temporary repairs to make it safe,
You can make those, yeah.
and then
So how
Buy
much
you time.
longer are we supposed to work in a building where I'm sitting there and rain comes down behind me? Like, how much longer are we postponing these repairs until they come up? Why can't we spend money on maintenance now? We spend maintenance money on
Whoa,
vehicles
I gotta
and
stop.
streets and everything
Like,
else.
we didn't say that we can't spend any money on maintenance. If we need to
That's
fix
what these
it.
are. These are maintenance items.
No.
Well, we don't need to spend
no.
$110,000.
So like you're talking about in your office and if there's rain coming down, whatever, if we need to fix those
We need to
windows,
fix
then we
that.
fix those windows. We're not saying that we're not fixing anything. We're saying that right now, that to say tonight that we're going to put $100,000 into maintenance right now to make that decision whether or not we're going to donate or we're not going to donate, we're not saying that we refuse to do that.
And-
We're saying that if we need to do some things, if we need to do the windows so you don't get rained on, then we do the windows.
And if you
But I
take-
can't say that I need to spend $10,000. I can't commit to that tonight.
So here's what I guess here's the summary of what I get from you guys. As soon as possible, we'll evict the tenant from the second floor.
No.
And then we'll just let the second.
Well-
I didn't say that.
Hold on. I said this is a summary. And then we'll just let the next door continue to deteriorate, because that's where all the money's going, is next door.
Right,
And so
so-
we'll just let it continue to deteriorate until we find a solution for Village Hall.
And I'm
No,
not
that's
saying
not what we
evict
said.
anybody,
No, I said-
but as soon as we are able, we should probably clear that building out, because we know there's other issues with the building, and it would take 24 months just to make enough money to replace the legs on that deck
Yeah.
off rent.
It's
Yes,
not a cost.
but again,
Really?
those
Yeah.
things,
Well,
$100 a month.
Okay.
hold on,
Yep.
but those things have been rented for
You can't look at it.
since we've owned it, and so, but none of that money has been put back into the building. None of it.
I understand that. But if we're gonna donate it, we do what we gotta do to make it safe until we can get the building empty. The money we're making off it, again, 24 months just to pay for legs.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. If we're gonna, if we come to the decision to donate the building, it makes more sense to do what we need to do, fix the water running down the wall in this building, because this is the one we use all the time.
Okay,
Do what we gotta do over there to make it stable.
can I get new carpet for this side of the building? Can I get an ADA compliant bathroom, and can I get the windows fixed?
We do not have an ADA
Windows.
compliant
That's why
bathroom.
I asked if I could get one.
Never
Windows.
gotten in trouble for it either.
Well, it's because it hasn't been
Well, don't say that.
And
challenged.
these are the things,
Yeah.
so these are the cosmetic things that if we're gonna stay in this building, I know
I-
Alan's talking about the structural and all of that, but there's other things that need to be done too.
And-
And I
and
don't wanna
I-
keep spending money at this if we're gonna do something else.
I understand it. And what we have to do is we have to come up with a decision of which direction we want to go. And if we truly think it's going to be 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years before we see a new village hall, then we probably need to put some money into making this ADA compliant. We probably do need to put money into the carpet, small things.
Well, we
But
probably need.
we can
like
leave
a
that side
timeline.
as much as we want and just shore it up.
We probably need a timeline that actually, so like right now, so like coming in tonight, and yeah, and I read this in my packet and I saw this and whatnot, but to come in and make the decision to know like what the time frame would be, we probably do need a timeline of sorts that like, because right now, if you have some of the board that wants a new building, some of the board that doesn't, and then that is what led to this conversation right here, to see specifically what costs are involved in doing what we need to do, then as we're pursuing deciding whether or not we need a new village hall or want a new village hall, because I think that is kind of the conversation, need and want, and then figuring out what that timeline would be, if it is 5 years, if it is 4 years, then figuring out what needs to be done in this project timeline. So like if we say it is 5 years, like what William is saying, then in the 5 years, on the trajectory of those 5 years, what has to be done in here while we're living in here to make it manageable to do what we need to do for business here and still be able to be setting aside for whatever we're going to do on that village hall that we build, if that's the case we go. I mean, if that's the route we
So
go.
what we're going to figure out is what we need size-wise, what we
Right.
want to get size-wise.
He did all
What
that.
kind of-
That you know.
Study.
Okay, what kind of footprint we're going to be looking at, how that would fit in the land in between, in the properties, how that would fit out in the land we have out here.
He did all that in the space use study.
Well, then we're set.
Well, then I guess we need a timeline.
We
So,
need to make,
hold
we
on.
need to weigh the options.
So here was my thing. I like Dina's idea, but what is the next step? Because we've been talking about New Village Hall.
At least 15 years.
I would agree, we have.
I gotta stop. I am gonna stop on that. So I've been on the board how many years? Like 4, 5, whatever?
4,
Yeah.
5.
Okay, in this whole conversation, I cannot say we have been talking about it for 15 years, because in this conversation, we have never, in my 6 years of being on the board, ever talked about any of this in front of me, other than this last 6 months.
So it has been talked about, maybe not necessarily always at board level, but it has been talked about at
Okay.
the admin level.
It's been on and off for
So-
15
Yeah,
years.
it's
With
not
that
like
one
this.
development-
I'm
No.
with Dina, because I've been
That's
on
my
here for
question.
3 years, and I never heard it until 6 months ago. But one question, you said it'd be nice to have Village Hall between the two subdivisions.
Yes.
Where at?
In the old
In that
wastewater
little
treatment
area
property.
behind Ogle Crossings, like.
The wastewater
there's
treatment
The
plant?
old wastewater.
What?
Or the old wastewater
Do you know
treatment.
how much construction and dirt work you'd have to do and reroute the waterway to?
Hey, engineer, what do you think?
Fun.
I don't think much.
It'll fit.
Okay.
It'll
Yeah, it'd be
fit,
perfect.
But won't we have to
Is it gonna be
redo the
fit
waterway
with
and
growth?
everything, or towards the back?
Yeah, it can be anywhere. I mean, you've got 5 acres there.
Yeah, there's plenty of room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's,
5 acres.
there's more than enough room for a parking lot in a 4,700 square.
More room than what
Yeah,
we've got
and
for
actually,
this.
in talking to Nate about that spot, that would be perfect, because then we can use that parking lot for people who also want to walk down the path to that, what was that park thing, the neighborhood park right off of Autumn Wolf that we're trying to
Well,
put
we,
in?
we haven't even decided if we're going
I
to
know,
build a
but
new
that's why I
building.
said, there are
not
are
good at it,
long-term benefits
Yeah, we
there.
gotta vote
But
on
backing
this,
up,
though.
Dina, I really like your idea. Here's where I'm struggling. What's the next step to ensure that this does not get set back another 15 years?
Well, the honest answer to that question is the board needs to decide, do you want a new village hall or do you not? And that hasn't been decided yet.
Can we put that on the agenda for 2 weeks from now, and then the board can come back and discuss and come up with an answer to that?
I want a new Village Hall, because if we're gonna put money into this and then we're here for 5 more years, what happens if something fails,
Yeah,
then we're gonna have to put
Right.
more money into it, and more money into it, and we could put that towards the new village hall.
If you don't, if you
If
don't,
we-
You might have to do that anyway, if it fails.
Exactly.
if you don't get an agreement with the landfill, the point is moot,
Yep, I would
because
agree.
you won't have the funds to build a new
And that is
village
true.
hall.
So until that's
Or
finished,
do the
That's
repairs
correct.
for that matter.
So it's kind of
We
delayed.
do have the funds for a new village.
Not really.
hall. I mean, if we
If
quit
we
spending
don't have a new
1.5
agreement,
on
we
street
won't have the
projects.
money to spend that on Village Hall. You'll need it for other things that would be more important than a new Village Hall.
So, what we're gaining from tonight is we need to wait and see what we come up with on negotiations, which have been ongoing for God knows how long, and they just restarted again.
do we have an ETA on that?
We don't.
Okay.
They just finally came back and realized that they need to talk to us.
Waste management.
And so the negotiations are looking at restarting.
I mean, because there might be asbestos above the roof. The old gym roof is still up there, and when Glenda
So
was here.
In the meantime, since you're saying that, can I get an asbestos and a mold test?
Yeah, because Glenda said, she guarantees there's asbestos in this.
Unless it was
You don't touch it, you don't gotta do anything.
Linda?
Can I get,
not necessarily true.
can I get an asbestos and a mold test in the meantime, while we're waiting for the landfill?
I don't see why we couldn't do them. At least if we have asbestos, we can look at getting it abated.
If we're gonna have to continue to sit here for landfill negotiations, which could be 6 months, it could be 6 years, I'd like to at least make sure that we're working in a safe
Can't be 6
environment.
years.
I'd like
That'd
to
be close.
encourage that I'd like to know we're working in a
It's,
safe
it's,
environment.
it's hopefully gonna take on a whole sense of urgency with them now because they're,
Within the
We'll
6
see.
years.
It's true, though, you don't have to do it, you don't really have to abate the event.
but we can still come up with a plan. We can still come up with a contingency that says, once we have this, this is the direction we want to go. So we're not waiting for 6 months or 6 years to sit down and then try to decide which direction we want
Yeah,
to
we can
go.
put the plan in place
So
and then,
when are we doing that, and what is the
Let's put
next step?
send out all the information again,
The space use study again?
not space use, the actual locations.
Oh, that was just a verbal discussion, there's
Oh.
nothing in writing.
Just before we get carried away about, with inspections, if you don't do any construction, you don't have to do asbestos abatement, correct? If you're not disturbing the area.
Don't disturb it. And that includes
Removing
drilling a hole
those
for
windows.
IT or anything like that.
And
Doing any work for the windows.
I don't
doing
think we're
anything
gonna
with the
be
ceiling. I'm just saying.
Holes in the ceiling, but
Chris, we have to remove the windows.
then I would do it in the areas that you're gonna do.
That'd be in the
construction.
walls, not in the ceiling.
Yeah, I'm just saying, No,
I
we're-
don't know if you've seen upstairs, it's kind of one and the same.
wherever you're gonna do the construction, you should do that if you suspect there's
Right,
asbestos
absolutely.
in there. I have no issue with that. I don't wanna
There's
do
some
it on
really
the
good
ceiling
companies
that
out
we're
there
not
that do
doing
that.
anything with.
I did it before when I tore down the greenhouse. Okay, so nobody has an objection to an asbestos or a mold inspection completed.
Go ahead and do it.
Yep, we need to do it.
And then what is the next step for Village Hall, or is this a dead topic until landfill negotiations?
Let's discuss it in 2 weeks. We'll put it on the agenda. Let's discuss it in 2 weeks and see if we can come up with, whichever side you're pro or con on, bring your arguments. That's what we're here for on the committee level meetings.
can I ask a question, whether pro or con or any of that stuff? And like Chris had said, if the negotiations if they don't go the right way, it's a kind of a moot point anyway. Why, like we did some of the other projects we've had, why can't we plan for it and have things ready? And then if things work out well, that route, then we proceed forward. I don't.
That's what we're gonna do in 2 weeks.
No, but like the way you said it is like we're going to come back and I don't want to rehash everything we rehashed tonight. Why can't we just figure out like where and what would it be like on like the elevation? What?
Sure.
Because I don't want to have the same conversation in 2 weeks.
You're ready to go.
Well, then I'll rewind again because that's what I asked 10 minutes ago was,
Right.
how does it look at that place? How does it look there? And I was told that was given to us the meeting I missed.
No, I've not seen an elevation. I've not seen
No,
anything like
no,
that.
not elevations. So at the meeting that you missed, the space use study was given out. I'll make sure I send it to you again because it was in that board packet and I know you missed the meeting. So I'll send it to you again.
He's got it right there.
No, I'll send a nice.
But I mean,
Anyway, so hold
No.
on, but during that
No,
space
yeah.
use
Make it
study,
look
there
pretty.
was no, it was just a discussion on locations and elevations because we didn't want Alan to spend the time on that. But if you guys
So-
want Alan to come up with some ideas, he can.
next step back.
No.
Are we okay with looking at it between the subdivisions?
I'd rather hear the options than say, are we
Yeah.
okay looking at.
Well, our option, well, what did you guys give out as options? I gave the option of there, I gave the option of the 14 acres, which we really don't want to do because that's retail space. The option of the 25 acres or whatever it is we have up here on 72.
Yep.
Lot
Lot
5,
five.
the 14
Lot
acres, I said
five.
lot 5.
No, I wouldn't do that.
What's
And
the
then
other?
Mood,
We own the land on the other side of the heavy equipment.
Yeah.
And there was one lot and then us all the way to the grain bins.
Because it's D&D, then the
Now,
owner of
the-
the Wood Nickel owns that, and then our land starts all the way to the grain bin.
so the benefits to that land is that if we built in there, we could install some of the infrastructure that would then hopefully spur more growth. That is a benefit to building in that area. There's really no benefit to building on lot 5
There's not. The
because it's tucked in there so deep.
The downside to building on the property on Route 72, why I agree with you and William had a very similar thought process on that. My concerns with that is that we do have people who still ride and walk and
Right.
and we
So-
should really be in the center of our residents.
That's the benefit to doing between the subdivisions is we have paths going there so people that want to walk or have other means that they need to go other than vehicles, cars, can get there.
Yeah.
So that's a benefit to being in the center.
And we're
I don't think we're going to see any more attendance.
We are low traffic, and so that's a good use of the old wastewater treatment plant because we're not bringing in commercial vehicles in there. We don't have semis coming in. Like, it's just us. The loudest vehicle we have is Weaver.
I know a guy that works on cars that can fix that.
Oh, it's just the diesel part.
It's him.
Like, I can hear him pull up.
It's him. But no, I mean, those are pretty much, unless you guys gave out other options. I mean, Alan, what did you have for options?
and that's where, that's
Lot
not where
one,
this
which
went,
is-
right? This conversation
No, I
happened
had the
a
one
couple
in
weeks ago.
between, like, yeah, mine was the, in between the two subdivisions
So
on mine.
my report is not, and it was not meant to be, where does it go?
So I think
No,
that's
that's-
something we
No,
need to know is.
those are
That's
the
up to you.
conversations we
Yes,
had.
those are
when we were
conversations
sitting
that
at the
we had
table.
No,
at
we
the
just,
interview.
yeah, we just needed numbers. That was,
So similar to other projects we've done in the past, we need to kind of get more, I don't even know so much of an elevation as much as an aerial of, to me, just to how it would fit. And other projects we've done, how do we expand? Is there room for expansion
Yep.
at the place we look at putting it? If for some reason DJ grows and grows and grows. I'm still a fan of, we've got land next door here, but
I just don't know that's
How,
enough.
how far does it
all the
go?
way to the house.
No, I'm saying, does it go past that? I don't know where
No.
so it's just the end of the house and that's where the land stops?
Yeah,
That's not a lot of space.
it's not.
Not that I'm opposed to it. I mean, maybe if you knocked them both down, you'd have enough room for one big building. I know that would.
Do you enjoy rising, like, a rise out of me?
No.
What are you doing, Craig?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay, here,
is
this
that-
will give you
is
an
that
idea.
option?
It would be the more expensive way to go.
I know, and I wouldn't
So-
want to pay that extra money, so I would agree with that.
So that's a mute.
You'd gain this. You've got about 3 times the size of that
Your
building.
cost per acre would be.
But that's what I'm saying. So it goes all the way to here, though, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's maybe enough, right?
You've got all
Whatever your
this back here to the
setbacks are,
ditch.
too.
That wouldn't make any sense, Chris.
What?
no, not,
That's enough
especially if
land to
you
build.
donated that.
The
building.
cost per acre
I don't know.
or
It's up to
whatever.
him. Engineer?
I'm sorry.
I thought you had to have a certain amount of space,
Still be using
There,
that building?
you do have side yard
Yeah, Brenda and I
setbacks and
talked
things of
about
that
that.
nature.
because when my parents bought their house, they had to have so much more
That's what I'm
land.
saying, there's
Yep.
not
No,
much
I'm asking
room.
like.
You can't
Well-
cover, there's a,
Building.
Yeah.
Right.
The lot
The
coverage.
residential is 33%, 30%?
You know what? Never mind. Never mind. I don't.
That ain't even cost.
All
I
right.
think that would be silly. It's not enough.
How big of a building do you need, or are you
The-
thinking about putting?
4,300, you said?
4,700 square feet is the amount of square footage that was determined that the village hall.
And what is the
should
square
utilize.
footage of this?
But it really should be one level. Not two.
It should be one level,
Yeah.
it should, or at least be accessible, that's the other.
I'd really just like my stuff to be in the same building as me and not 5 miles across town. Well, it can't be 5, but not miles across town.
Yeah, we keep a lot of stuff in storage because we
We
don't
do.
have the space here.
The apartment building that you asked for,
Single level.
one level is about 1,100 square feet. You need 4 of those.
That's a little under a quarter of what you need.
Oh, it's feet.
Alan said we could fit in these buildings, Rick, but we would be to the
All right,
brim.
so just as a visual, lot 5.
I think,
Yeah,
I think,
it's the,
I don't know if you can put a restaurant in.
I
I'm
don't
gonna
think that
play-
is a very,
a little bit of.
Lot 5 is a horrible
location.
option.
Go ahead, Ellen.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot of water back.
As I spoke the last time I was here, I do watch these tapes. We can't see that, so a little bit more of description would be great. So Lot 5 is the north side of
Oh.
Lincoln, out past the park.
Yeah, at the end of
And it's the
Sorry.
very end of the,
Yep.
yeah.
All the way out by
Of
the
Lincoln.
cul-de-sac, yep. Sorry, just as a.
That's okay.
As a resident side of this
Yeah,
conversation.
no,
I
you're right.
appreciate the reminder too.
I wouldn't be in favor of that. I think that's a poor location.
I
It is
think,
a
I
terrible-
think that's
Can
a
you
very
show us
terrible
the,
location.
can you show us?
I like the idea
This
of
is
the
the-
access for people in the, with the bike
between.
That's
path.
why I
That's
like
between the
this lot.
properties,
And-
Yeah.
between the
and we-
subdivisions.
And we always struggle with what we're
That
going to
is
do with
between the
that.
subdivisions.
Yeah,
Right.
Correct,
We,
yep.
we always struggle with what we're going to
Just
do with
clarifying.
that property.
Of course, the only way you have it in.
Oval Crossings and
is this
Harvest
short-
Lane.
Is that little.
On Junction Road.
Junction.
There's,
I do that every time.
you know,
Wait, I'm sorry,
that?
Chris, you're not talking into a mic. We can't hear you.
What, the
yeah,
drainage?
I can't look at the map and talking to the mic at the same time. I say the only way you'd have in would be here
That road.
because this is going to be concrete. Just saying.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I still think there's
not
space.
just.
I'm not saying there
They
isn't
make
space.
bridges
I'm
every
just
day.
saying that's
Yeah.
the limitation.
They make bridges every day.
Oh, that's a good point. We don't really want to pay for a bridge, though.
It
That
doesn't-
short, it's.
Oh, you should have been back here when somebody,
Over-
somebody had paid the engineers to design a bridge over
Nah,
72,
we're
over the
paying
train
for
tracks.
concrete to go in there. I don't want to put a
You mean the
culvert
west
in after
exit?
I paid for.
No, no,
Concrete.
no, no, the bridge on Junction Road over the train tracks.
That's right.
Come
In,
here.
in lieu of the west exit.
No, you can get in from that
That-
drive.
that was a fun one.
That
We had to
drive,
pay
big
for
enough.
it.
They're going to bring the equipment in that drive anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that.
So then we,
that's the
then we
only way
own,
you'd have
then we
it
own
now.
these 3.
Is that,
Yeah, but then there's no access for like, I do like the idea of like access for
In
residents
between them.
in any form because they can hop on the bike path and get there one way or the
Yep.
other if they need to. I like that.
I got to say, I'm not opposed to that building in between the
I
subdivision.
kind of dig that.
I could
It's
maybe,
a good use for the land.
maybe even put a
Yeah.
path down from.
I have to agree with Sandy on that. I mean,
That
being
could
low
almost sway
traffic.
me over
And
to,
we always struggle with what to do with that property because we don't want high traffic there.
Because we always ask for noisy things to aim at the southern subdivision.
There's no,
There may or may not have been a speakerphone included in my request.
just to be curious, because the landfill was, or not landfill,
We're just joking over.
the treatment plant was there, it won't cause any issues when you're going to build, will it?
It shouldn't. I'd have to look exactly how it was remediated, but we're not talking about digging very deep in that space.
For the
anyway.
foundation, I get that.
4 feet.
All right.
It should be pretty simple, but again, I don't know the remediation that was done with, that was converted to.
Compliant with law.
Correct. I agree with that. I just don't know
Done by
what
Willis
that
Hoffman?
is, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
some might be more expensive than
Designed by
others,
Blue.
especially if there's contamination.
Correct.
So,
Oh, there shouldn't be. It'd be just poo.
Yes, it's,
I have no idea.
Fertilizer.
You never,
It's being
you
used
never
by
know
the
what they're
grass.
leaching out of those plants.
so does it sound like everybody's okay with that space and we could give Alan some direction to come up with something for that space? And because that way we're leaning towards Dina's, all right, we've got a plan, now let's put out a
So-
timeline of how we're going to get to it.
Streets and Public Works. This is staying the same shape and just being done in concrete.
It's gonna be a little wider, but yes.
Okay.
Same shape.
Want to make sure we're not like straightening it out. And
No,
Oh, that-
of course, Will Hoffman would know that.
no, we wouldn't.
Nope. That's a
We wouldn't know
problem.
that,
That's
by
a
the way.
man
Oh,
project.
sorry.
Yeah.
yes.
Let me get that knife out. Right there.
Are you okay?
But yes,
Sorry, Alan.
it is only
It's usually Matt we take those jabs at.
Okay.
But he brings pizza.
That's true.
It's not in my budget.
So is everybody okay with Alan?
I'm okay with, let's see how it fits.
Alan taking a look and seeing if there's space there and how that would work out?
Oh, I thought you already answered that question. There's space.
It'll
there.
fit.
All right.
Yeah.
I know, but like.
But what the shape is basically what I hear with this conversation is what type of shape of building? I mean, are we talking a square? Are we talking an
What are we
L?
looking at? Yeah.
And are you guys looking at,
Parking, how does that access?
One level.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
okay, and so just to back up too, because what we decided a long time when we rebuilt well two was that going forward, we were building buildings that are brick over block because they just don't tend to burn like well two did because it was brick over frame. Are we gonna stay with that mentality in building? And then are we looking at trying to duplicate track in?
I think it was a depot.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry,
depot,
you're right,
yeah.
the
Depot.
depot. I'm sorry, thank you.
So make it look train related.
Yes, and so, in that thought process, William had asked a question during the space use study that Alan might have to look into further, is can we do a generic building with, if we get the landfill funds, or if we run into some funds, that we can do the overlay on top of it to look like the depot? So two different options, the
Yes.
cheaper option with an overlay option, so if we come into extra funds, then we can do the aesthetics.
To a fascia.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, William wanted to know if we could do a full frame building, right? That was the conversation.
We're not-
No.
And I don't want to
Okay.
do that. I don't
No.
want to do that at all.
Because they just don't last. Not the way, we've been building buildings for the last 100 years. The brick over block, and that's the reason we've been building them, is because they just don't need the
Absolutely.
work.
Yeah,
And
you've
they
got a
don't burn.
50-year versus a 100-year lifespan. That's the difference. Your whole barn or your post frame building should last 50 years. It's not going to last as long as a brick and block building.
We'll have to see how much they cost before we,
Yeah, that's
There's
true.
gonna be a big difference.
Big difference.
I'm sure there is, but it's whether you can afford it. If you can afford it,
I'm going to pick on you just for a second, Deanna.
Go ahead.
In 2013, when I wrote you this letter, because it's been going on that long, so 7 years, your reinforced concrete block was a $575,000 project. Your wood frame and siding was a $490,000.
85.
So
for
you're
what size?
talking,
For what size?
this was a 3,600, I think, at the time, 60 by 60, so.
I mean, the costs will go up because materials are more now, but.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And if you're only talking, what percent?
Yeah, percentage of difference, I mean, you're talking a quarter
20?
percent, right, 20% more, somewhere
Yeah.
in there.
And get that extra 20% more for double life.
Yeah.
I can live with that all day.
Dina?
All right, so
Let's move.
since we've kind of narrowed it down to a location, we've kind of narrowed it down to what we'd like to see. Are you interested in
Even Dina not discussing it.
semi
everybody else discussing it, and Dina just not reading it. 'cause she doesn't
elevation,
know.
or do you just want to look at kind of overhead? Will it fit? Do
What's that mean, semi-elevation?
you want to see what it would look like from the ground level?
You want to look at it from the side, yep.
Yeah.
The elevations that I would draw that
Oh.
would show you that it looks like a train depot.
You know, it doesn't matter
But-
to me if it looks like a train.
I'm okay with
It
the
only
overhead and
matters to
seeing if
me that
it'll
it looks
fit.
like a village hall.
What I want to see is overhead, will it fit, where the parking's going to be, and what we have for room for expansion if down the road they need more
Settings
room.
are irrelevant.
'Cause
Yeah,
I
no,
say they, 'cause we won't
and
be.
any design that we have should have room for expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's costing more money.
Okay, so that's Alan's direction.
Are you guys okay with that?
Do you know what
I'm
your
fine with
direction
that,
is?
and I
Okay.
just said to Jen, so that everybody
All
can
right.
hear me, and I was mumbling a side conversation, and I shouldn't be, and I know that, but I literally just
Let's
said.
call you John.
No, don't call me John. So, like, literally, I was just saying, because I think we've already said it, and it's kind of like beating a dead horse, like, we haven't decided that we're doing the project. What we're doing is getting the information and the dollar amount
Yep.
and what it would look like to determine about whether or not we can proceed with planning for the project and saving for the project and timelining the project. And then if something were to come into some money, then we could do the project. So like, let's just do it and move on, and then that way we could
Thank
move on.
you.
You nailed it.
I agree.
All right,
Does that
everybody's in
help?
agreement?
Hold on, did that help?
Yes.
All right.
and-
But I don't
I just
like
need to
the
make it clear
overlay
that
of
it's
a
not
depot.
saying, yeah, we're gonna build.
Just
Just looking at numbers
Again,
is all.
So we can see what
Those
it
are
looks like
details.
both ways. We can see a brick
Right.
over block, we can see a depot. Again, if right now, I think we're looking for generic fit on the land.
I know,
Yeah.
just look at it.
And once we get to the planning stage of what it is, we can see what the cost difference is between a pretty depot and a pretty block building.
Do you want cost now
Board,
on a 4,700 square foot building that's built out of wood versus built out of brick and block?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, these will be very rough numbers. because of
Understood.
The environment that we're in right now, but
It gives us an idea of what we.
All right,
can
We're gonna wait like 15 more years, we're gonna wait 15 more years
Yeah,
so the trees can grow.
Yeah.
It gives
You
you
can't
an
have it.
idea of what to project.
That's just for Sandy, by the way.
Thank you.
Let's move
You know
on.
what? I just want the conversation to continue moving, and like I just told Dina, I just don't want the horse to lie on the side of the road.
Well, we just got a lot
Well, I don't
of,
want Alan.
we just got the horse to move a lot.
So let's move it along.
It's moving well. Anybody have any more on this before we move on?
Fine. I'm not gonna
hope
take it
not.
All
personally.
right. This floor is still yours.
I'm done.
All right.
Need a mold test.
Brenda?
Haven't even started.
Building.
All right. As everybody knows,
She looks all serious.
sure everybody knows, especially if they've looked at their IML State House briefing you get, in your email. November 3rd, our governor and House and Senate.
We're all resigning?
No, it's a holiday.
Proclaim that all municipalities have a holiday. So that means we'll be closed. But it's an unfunded holiday. So IML, there's some towns that actually are thinking about staying open and going against it, which they could get arrested, apparently. So there's a lawsuit out there.
Well, you
for
don't want
for-
fear stopping you, so.
For clarification, there's
Yeah,
a lawsuit
Election day.
filed for clarification of the Election Day holiday for municipalities. So I guess what I need you guys to be thinking of, and, well, for direction, if you want us to update our handbook, so we make that a holiday for our employees for 2020. But if the lawsuit goes through and it could be turned over, then it wouldn't be a holiday.
Why don't we wait and see what happens with the lawsuit?
But we have to do it
Because it's November 3rd.
at least in October.
49 days away.
The court day is in October. Because if we can update the handbook at no cost, if we wait to do an what if or whatever, we have to pay the attorneys to do a new ordinance, so.
Can't
We
we
have
just
to
do it
pay
under
attorneys to
resolution
do
for
an ordinance
2020?
for this.
Isn't it funny how they're only doing it for
Well,
2020?
if you do a resolution for,
Actually, a question.
I think the what ifs and,
So if you guys agree that we are just going to pay our full-time, or those qualified for holiday pay for that holiday, I will just doodle a resolution, it will not cost us anything. What Brenda was saying is, if we're going to try and wait this out, and it may be a last-minute deal, we are going to have to probably pay Ansel Blank by mid-October to prepare something for us in the alternative if you are interested in paying our full-time employees. As it stands right now, we are required to be closed and they do not receive pay.
I have a question.
Really? No pay?
because it's
Because
not one of our holidays in our handbook, so.
So I guess.
Can't we just decide that this year, I mean, we have to do all the formal stuff? We can't just say, why can't,
We can,
You can give them a
We'd have to update
discretionary
it.
bonus
We'd-
and take
no,
30%
we're-
of it.
No, we're not going to do a bonus. We'd have to update our handbook just for that day.
but what if that changes in following years? Then we have to do it again?
I would put the year 2020 in there, so it would be a
Yeah.
one-time deal. And then
Why don't we just do a resolution
what
instead of
was your
changing the
question?
handbook?
I have a question.
Jen has a question, and I interrupted.
No, it's okay.
Same thing.
I read that email thing, and what I kind of took away from it was every year it was a presidential election
Well, either way.
instead of just this year. I was
Gotta
thinking of
make
every
sure.
time it was a presidential election, it was election day off. But I could be wrong. I could have interpreted it totally different.
I didn't get that from it.
I'm not certain.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's just.
I'm not
this
certain.
year.
Okay.
Because I think it was part of the governor's information that he put out at the beginning of COVID, that this would be a holiday. So really the question is, are you guys interested in compensating our employees if it ends up being a holiday after the lawsuit's decided?
I would say that we should compensate them if they're getting the day off because the governor mandated a
I
holiday.
agree.
I would agree.
I would agree too.
So we can wait till October.
If it's something we can quickly doodle in a resolution form once we know what direction the state's going,
I can do it no later than October 15th.
okay?
That's good.
So
And then if we have to, we can
When's the
pass a
court date?
resolution in the event that this changes.
well, in that case, so that's why I said if this court case comes down and it's a done deal, then I'm just going to change it. I can just do the resolution myself, no problem. If
Okay.
it comes into an if or category, then Ansel Blank's going to have to help me because that's outside of my realm. But we can wait until August or October 13th and have this discussion again. But just keep in mind that this is floating out there.
Why don't we make sure it comes up before that?
Yeah.
We have a reminder that it's coming.
All right.
So the meeting before, put a reminder in there so we know that the following week
Yep.
we'll need to discuss it.
Yep.
That's all I have.
All right.
Hold on, I have one more I forgot. This is by no means me saying one way or the other. Just a general reminder that compensation for elected officials needs to be set during the month of October too, if any changes are to be made before the next election. That's all I got.
All right. Jen?
We are down to 2 farmers markets left. The next one is next Wednesday. And then the other one will be October 7th. The event that took place on Sunday as a fundraiser did very, very well. The food trucks that were selling like full out food items were sold out by 6 o'clock. All they had left were the desserts. And I got to talk to some of the vendors that were here that have not been here for our farmers market and are very interested in trying to come for our last 2 markets. So I've been in contact with them, so hopefully we can get them out here for our last 2 markets. And then Rick was at the event and we talked and we may try to see if we can get another event out here just to bring the community together because it went over so well and people enjoyed it. And so I'm gonna figure out a date or talk to those people to see, you know, I'd like it on a weekend. I don't know if I can get them out here on a weekend. I may have to do a Wednesday night just because Wednesday nights work well because there's not a lot that goes on.
I had the opportunity to talk to one of the owners of one of the food trucks, and he was sold out 3 times by 6 o'clock. He ran out, they made more, they ran out, they made more.
Don't you think that's the day, though, that they had it on, too?
Yeah.
Sunday?
Sunday. I mean, like I said, I know Wednesday nights works for, I do know food trucks because there's not a lot of other stuff going on, but Sunday is also, you know.
It was, they were very happy with their turnout. I mean, I know the barbecue place, 5:15, they were out of food.
Yep.
Everything. They were completely out of everything at 5:15. I think the Greek place lasted until 6. Pizza place went down before that.
I'm not sure.
They were swamped.
They were.
Pizza place sells out every time, even at the farmer's market.
They haven't completely sold out, but the conversations that I've had with them is they're very happy with coming here. Ralphie's Barbecue wants to get here, but they've lost a lot of their staff and they work full-time jobs. So to work their full-time job and then try to come here on a Wednesday night, they don't, themselves, it's hard. But she said she was going to try to see what she could get, just because, again, she goes, we always do very well there. So,
We sampled a little, we didn't do either of the desserts, but we sampled a little bit from each of the other places, and the food was all very good.
it was very good. I did get the chocolate chip cookie dough cupcakes. Those were the bomb. It tasted really good with ice cream.
Those were sold out by 5:30.
We had the on-the-farm, we bought the on-the-farm pizza. They were out of pulled pork barbecue by the time we got up there, so we were,
Yes, I have to say, we got the last 2 pulled pork nachos.
and then, so I had the kebabs from the barbecue place, those were excellent. And then Tracy had a gyro from the Greek truck and loved it.
The pizza place's pickle pizza is really good. It's pickle and bacon and something else. That's,
Very good.
but, so hopefully we'll be able to put together a few events here and I am working on the fall party, or not party, but,
Drive-through.
like the drive-through, the fall event. Well, it will take place on October 17th. I think I'm going to keep the same hours, like 2 to 4. I'm working on some giveaway things, so hopefully I'll have more information for that. But that's all I have. Anybody here for finance?
Brenda, tax levy?
In your packet, you'll see the tax levy ordinance that's raising at 5%. So that'll be on your,
I think everybody had agreed to that previously.
doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be posted.
It does not have to be posted.
It's under
I need
5.
20 days of clearance between you guys having it now and having it. As Brenda mentioned, it'll be October before it's in your packet.
And will that be a special meeting, like an early one, or no?
No, no.
Okay, super,
If we went over 5%, we'd have to have a special meeting.
gotcha.
Jared?
Just working out some rules for the ATVs, just getting it all put together and hopefully have a draft for you guys here soon. That's it.
John? Chris?
Can I hijack you first real quick?
Who?
You.
Feel free.
Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this, and it's kind of your street stuff. Matt and Mark Heinley from Mansfield Link and Matt from Willett Hoffman had asked me if on the vacating of Maple Court, do we want to send letters to the 3 homeowners that are there, letting them know that we're having this discussion? In the past, I did it, but I told them this isn't my project, so I kind of need direction from you guys.
It probably would
You've
be
always
the
done
most
it before,
appropriate
right? Yeah.
thing to do.
But who do we want to send them?
I would probably send them from you or Chris, and then use the same letter I did last time.
Feel free to use Rick.
All right.
I mean, on that topic, could we just plow it this year so, I mean, they know next year that when it happens, that they're gonna have to,
Once we vacate it, it's
That's
not
theirs
ours.
once it's vacated.
And if we're going to plow it this year, correct me if I'm wrong.
because there is mailboxes if the mail truck goes down there.
But there won't be.
Yeah, but there won't be.
That's the point of the letter, right?
The ones the 2 will move to Goodrich and the other one will move to East Chicago.
Part of the problem is, Jared, if, I'm speaking for him, but stop me if I'm wrong, is that if we choose to, if we keep it after the snow flies, we have to do some prep maintenance now.
So last week, you guys kind of made the preliminary decision how we're going to split it. And I was called by one of the homeowners on Wednesday, wanting to know more information about it. So I shared with them what we had discussed at the open meeting. And I thought it was kind of funny that it made it that fast out into the realm. Because the meeting hadn't been posted yet, and there was no public here, I don't believe. It made it quick.
Yeah, but didn't we talked about it one other time too?
We have.
We're vacating it nonetheless, so. Mute.
So I'll prepare those letters, and Rick will sign them even.
Okay.
I think, Chris, sorry.
Hey, no problem. We have a couple quotes in the packet for today. That's one's from Herbig for $3,000, and the other one is from King Blacktop for $67.70. This is to replace part of Autumn Wood Lane. It's right at, is it right at 165?
It's right in there.
You know, it's where the asphalt sank about an inch and a
this
half.
area?
Yeah, I don't know. If you travel down Autumn Wood Lane, you'll notice because there's a nice little, and we need to get that fixed. So we got a couple quotes, and we were planning on going with the one for $3,000. Hopefully, there won't be any more settling in that area because we can't exactly explain why. But as you become more familiar with the streets of Davis Junction, you'll find that some of it is no rhyme nor reason.
That's 6 inches there,
What's that?
the road?
I'm not sure. I can't remember if that's 6 or not. I don't remember if that was the overlay project. So, but it's probably at least 4.
What's such
Interesting.
a vast difference in the price?
Because King doesn't really care about the job.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right now, everybody's quite busy.
Well,
Okay.
So,
yes.
No, I was just
he's
curious.
swamped.
Okay.
Everybody out there
You know.
in the construction world is swamped.
so unless they're going to make
Worth
pretty
the
good,
while, then.
right? Maybe that wasn't exactly the way I should have put it, but
They do, but if they get it, they want to get paid.
well, if you're so busy that it maybe comes in and you have to pay your people overtime or whatever else, and the only way you're going to make a profit on it is if you charge an
Okay.
Right.
extended amount, then
Gotcha. Thank you.
They can be booked up more Saturdays, so.
Yeah.
Sure.
Usually they're closer than $3,700 off. But.
Yeah, that was just like pretty, okay,
All right.
thank you.
So so can you put that on the back?
Herbig's quote for 3,000
Yeah,
and consent agenda?
yes.
Okay.
That was the idea. So my last thing, hopefully it won't be too long, is that on Misty Meadow, we have a sinkhole slash, I don't know, washout underneath part of the road. You know, William's not here because he's familiar with it. It's a house down from him. But it's, and we actually took some pictures, but you can't really see much because a lot of it is under the road, right? Did you stop by and look at it?
I live on Misty Meadow.
I know, and it's, I figured
Yeah, I
it's pretty
did.
close.
I did.
Maybe you stop by to take a look at it.
I did.
And, you know, when Brett stuck a rod, it was that 5 or 6 feet ride into the ground, there was just no resistance. So a lot of the stone underneath the road actually, I don't know where it washed away, but.
It washed
can't-
out somewhere.
Right, well, it did, it must have washed out somewhere because, but it wasn't where it was.
There's
'cause,
nothing under it.
when the gentleman from the, who lives at that address sent me an email on, over the Labor Day weekend, you know, I told him that we would take a look at it at the end of the weekend and right away. And by the time we got back there with additional rain, there was quite a bit more, washout. So Brett and his crew came over and, they sandbagged the road and filled in, as much as they could without actually doing the repair. And you can kind of tell that the concrete's starting to sag underneath there because it doesn't have it. So we need to have it addressed. And I'm not exactly sure how to go about it because, you know, we don't know what the cost will be because it's mostly hidden under the road.
Do we have to cut the road out to figure?
We do, unfortunately.
So it's
Yeah,
like-
I wish my first thing was, could we mud jack it and, you know, put concrete under it and raise it up? But there's so much of the side of the road washed away that you couldn't never get a firm enough base to do that, so we're gonna have to cut it out. And, you know, we don't know what the final cost will be because it's so much of it is hidden and, you know, we need to get it done more of as an emergency thing than anything else because, you know, if we get another heavy rain, we'll lose more of the road, if not actually have it collapse.
Or when somebody's on it.
Right. Well, we put up barriers so that you couldn't drive on that side of the road. You know, relocated the guy's mailbox that was half laying on his side too, which is already in a bucket now sitting on his driveway, which is unfortunately, but we can't do anything about that. So Brett got a quote from Herbig. And they gave us a quote for the labor and what the labor would cost, and then what the materials would cost. He'd give it to us at cost plus 15% for the shipping, right?
For the materials,
Yeah, for the delivery of the materials. And then he gave us a quote for the labor, and I actually have that on the phone. I don't know if anybody really, you know what we are looking at, but how do we go about doing this? Because, you know, we can't wait too long. He contacted, Kelsey?
Kelsey as well, I've not heard
Right.
back, so, but Herbig is
Right.
very responsive.
And they said they could get back, you know, get out to us maybe by Friday, which would be great. So how exactly do we go about,
Emergency expenditure procedure,
yeah,
so you need to notify William and Brenda.
If you can't get a hold of William, Brenda.
Well,
all right, well, all right, so Brenda.
If you can't get a hold of Brenda, William and
No,
I.
so Brenda and you,
You have to attempt to contact William first.
all right, well,
Call
sure,
him right
fine. Then I'll call William
call him?
tomorrow. All right. I just want everybody to know, you know, why we're not going through the regular procedure because
Yeah.
it's an issue. And if we have more rain, which hopefully we won't, but you know, the weathermen, you know, we'll have more of a washout. Well,
Do you know what the estimated up to cost could be?
I believe that it won't cost well, I asked Brett this too, and it's a guess, but we expect that it shouldn't exceed 10,000. That's not to say it won't, but we expect that it won't.
So the expenditure limit, I believe, is 10,000.
Is that for an emergency expenditure? All right. Then
So
I.
if anything beyond that, let me know, we'll have to call an emergency meeting.
All right, all right. I don't know, when would we know that?
We won't know until the job's completed.
No,
When they start tearing into it.
well, I mean, clearly,
Put it
if if they start cutting it out and then see that there's just a crap load more damage or washout or whatever, then we would know and we might want to.
We would have to reevaluate then, but right
Right.
now, with what you saw for the quote, we have a T&M, basically T&M quote.
Right,
So,
which was reasonable. I mean, the amounts they were going
They
to
don't know what
charge.
they're getting into.
Well, right, and they were just giving us the hourly charge for, some,
Time and material.
right.
Yeah, material.
I had to ask that too.
I thought you said TMI. My hearing must be.
Do you,
Basically, they were giving us an hourly quote for, what it would cost for a skid loader, a guy to operate a skid loader per hour. And they were reasonable. I saw the rates and I'm used to that, enough of that from work that, they weren't
No.
bad. So, I'll call William tomorrow and so that we can get them started as soon as possible so we don't lose the road. Last thing is, I'm sure Jen doesn't want to not be able to drive to her house and have to park
my
down the road.
my next question was, do you remember exactly where that last one was that we had that went halfway across the road? Because that's only a few houses down, I
It was
believe.
the two-story yellow, I do believe.
Yeah, it was a
Two
couple
houses.
houses down, across
Is that
the
right,
street.
right where the smaller circle met the straight part of the road?
No, it was a couple
No,
houses
it
down.
was to the north, basically. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of water sheeting off the driveway right across the street from that guy's house because there was a lot of mud on Saturday after the rain
Yes.
that came across, and so there could actually be more washout underneath there. It's hard to say.
Yeah. This
Hopefully
is not to interrupt you, Chris. This is one of those situations where we as the employees, we can tackle this. We will have to go rent a saw. We don't own a saw big enough to cut through the concrete and potentially the asphalt as well. And we've had to do that in the past, so we have to go rent a walk-behind saw. Talking with Chris, my concerns, I don't like paying other people to do that. That drives me crazy. But this was one of those deals where we can go ahead and remove it, do the work that we can do, but then I have to get a price for concrete, then I have to get a price for asphalt. I have to wait and potentially get those approved unless we run the emergency expenditure route. So we had discussed doing basically a one-stop deal. I find a contractor that is able to do the concrete, the asphalt, basically everything in the road, and then we take care of the dirt work as soon as that's done.
I don't want to do that
It's
because.
kind of a tough decision to make because we
Right.
didn't want to spend the money if we didn't have to.
But I don't want to do that right now because Fergie's spending a lot of his time with the water tower and, the management for the water system. So, I mean, this is kind of a
That's
time,
fine, Chris.
this is a very time sensitive, thanks, John, and critical.
Yes, it is. We're in a bit of a rush on this. So,
Sounds like a plan.
All right, everybody in agreement?
Yes.
Anything else, Chris?
No, that's it for me.
Dina?
Unless Fergie has more.
oh, no, I'm done. Thank you.
Thanks for,
And if Fergie doesn't have anything, I don't.
No, I don't. I mean, everybody can kind of see what's going on with the water tower.
Awesome.
So as long as you turn your sink on and you got water, then we're all
happy.
good. So,
Yeah.
As long as the noise isn't annoying the neighbor.
yeah. Don't
Too bad.
Rick,
No,
not much you
don't.
can do about it.
I really don't.
No,
Not much you can do.
I was joking.
Just let the water tower.
please don't.
I
bring
can't
that up.
imagine how loud it really is. It's loud enough.
But no, other than that, everything's going all right. We're still working on the wastewater plant, PLC issue, waiting for McGilvra, so I'll
It is
update
loud.
everybody when I get there.
and I saw those that you had sent as well.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, unfinished business.
Nothing.
Water tower's on her. Okay.
Probably moved off of that. Dina, would you be okay if I removed it from there?
The water tower project? Yeah,
Now it's in progress.
yeah, and then we'll just update when.
It's out. Public left, except you can be public now.
You
All right.
live here, so.
Motion.
Public, again, we encourage you to come. We have open chairs. 6 feet away from everybody.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Jared makes a motion to adjourn, John seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Adjourned at 8:19.